Good morning to all and welcome to the session, the Hindu Editorial Analysis for Proficiency in English. Today's editorial is all about a tragic incident in one of the quarries in Tamil Nadu and the loss of lives. Any editorial related to an accident, usually involving the environment, talks about two dimensions. One dimension, it talks about the loss of lives, it talks about the rules and regulations, it talks about whether they're being enforced or not, enforcement of rules and regulations, and also the impact of the environment. This editorial, besides not that difficult to understand a familiar topic, but in a way, there are so many words. If you are not aware of the meanings of these words, not practically possible to understand many sentences. So let us go to editorial vocabulary. Today, I think more than 20 words. What is the first word? It starts with the word crushing. Crush. Crush means part of speech verb. It means what? Compress or squeeze forcefully so as to break or damage. But crushing lives, in this context, it means it deals with the loss of lives, people losing lives. Enforce, part of speech, a verb. Compel observance of a law, a rule, or obligation. Enforce a law means make sure people follow the law and there is a sort of compliance. Comply is an important word. In a way, you can also say compel observance of a law, rule, or obligation. Quarry, part of speech noun. I'm sure you guys know the meaning of the word. Means what? A place, typically a large, deep pit from which stone or other materials or, or have been extracted. Please listen to the editorial analysis and try to get enriched. Compress or squeeze, that is crush, enforce, compel observance. Third one, quarry, a place, usually it goes with mines, it goes with metals, minerals. A place, typically a large deep pit from which stone, in this context, a quarry, stone, or other materials are or have been extracted. Mining place, exactly. Hazardous, an important word, adjective, risky or dangerous. Hazard means danger. Deploy, we have got many a time, part of speech verb. Move troops or equipment. In this context, equipment into position for military actions, not for military action. Equipment to extract stone. Fraught takes a preposition with, fraught with, part of speech adjective, full of unpleasant things such as problems or dangers, fraught with risks, fraught with, both are entirely different, quarry and query, and spelling is different, so is pronunciation. Problems or dangers or risks. Casualties, whenever we talk about an accident, we use the word casualties. A person killed or injured in a war or accident. In this context, obviously, accident. Greed, it goes with everyday English. Greedy person means what? Excess desire. Collusion, an important word, part of speech noun. Secret or illegal cooperation or conspiracy in order to deceive others. You join hands with others in order to deceive or do something negative. Then we say there's a conspiracy. And colluded, you colluded with someone means what? You joined hands, secret or illegal cooperation or conspiracy. An important word, collusion. Collude is a verb form. Bear has so many meanings. It could be a noun, it could be a verb. As a noun, you all know teddy bear, brown bear, grizzly bear, polar bear. But here, bear carry the weight of support, bear something, be sort of carry something, carry the weight of something. Testimony, part of speech noun, an important word. A formal, a written or spoken statement, especially one given in a court of law. One given in a court of law. Testimony. Boulder, this context is all about quarries. So obviously we come across the word boulder. Part of speech noun. A large rock, typically one that has been worn smooth by erosion. Boulders means huge rocks. Here the letter S is silent. Debris. Debris, part of speech noun, scattered pieces of rubbish or remains. Usually this word goes with, imagine there's a flight crash, then we use the word debris. Also, ship wreckage, we use the word debris, an important word. Culpability, culpable crime, a typical combination. And culpable crime, then it is an adjective. But culpability, part of speech noun. A responsibility for a fault or a wrong, blame. Something is culpable, then you can blame, usually culpable crime. A random part of speech adjective, I'm sure you guys know that, made, done, or happening without method or conscious decision. Something not systematic at random means not systematic. Interregnum, a new word completely. For the first time, we have got part of speech noun. Do remember an important word. A period when normal government is suspended, especially between successive reigns or regimes. A reign or regime, the government. Imagine after elections, there's a period where you don't have any government, or there's a gap between a time period between two successive governments or different governments. Then we use a word for that particular time period, we use the word interregnum, an important word. Breach, we have got many a time. It goes with a wall, a cement structure, a gap in a wall. But breach also means a violation of rules and regulations or a contract. Breach of contract, a typical expression. Mandate, mandatory, something that is compulsory. To order someone to do something, part of speech verb. Mandatory means adjective. Plunge has many meanings. A sudden movement or fall forward, down, or into something. Plunge actually means dive into something. But in this context, plunge also means to go down. It goes with numbers. Comprehensive, an important word. This goes with policies, syllabus. Comprehensive syllabus means what? Exhaustive, holistic, taking every aspect into consideration, including or dealing with all or nearly all elements or aspects of something. You take all the aspects of something, then we use the word comprehensive, exhaustive, or holistic. Nexus, another important word. Usually we say nexus between two different groups. I don't want to mention the groups. Nexus between means what? A connection or a series of connections linking two or more things, usually groups. Nexus, it should be a noun, not adjective. Crackdown. Crackdown could be a verb, could be a noun, but here it's a noun. A series of severe measures to restrict undesirable or illegal people or behavior. You try to control, then we use a word crackdown. Aggravate, an important word. Don't aggravate the situation. A typical example, make a problem, injury, or offense worse or more serious. Already something is bad or not at all acceptable, and someone aggravates the situation, means what? The person makes it worse or more serious. Plunder, another important word. Plunder, you can also think of the word loot, part of speech verb. Steal goods from a place or person, typically using force and in a time of war or civil disorder. War, now we don't come across war quite often. Civil disorder, whenever there are clashes, imagine there's an unruly crowd, they try to attack the shops. That time they plunder or they loot whatever they come across in exacerbate, a very good word, that's right, Pritham, in a particular shop, plunder or loot. Exchequer, another important word. I'm sure you guys know the government department that is responsible for the country's finances. Mushroom, a noun, but mushrooming, here it is a verb. Mushroom can be a verb. Mushrooming, from that you get the word mushrooming, part of speech adjective. Rapidly growing, expanding, or developing. In fact, there is one idiomatic expression, mushroom growth of something, means what? A rapid growth of something, proliferation of something. An important idiom, do remember. Mushroom growth of institutes means what? A rapid growth of institutes. Retrievable, something you can retrieve. Usually this goes with information and also resources that can be found and made available to be used. You can extract or retrieve. Something you cannot. It also goes with information, ideas, and retrieve information. Opposite, irretrievable. That word has been used in exactly engineering colleges. An axe to grind, an important idiom they have given in SBI many a time. An axe to grind means a selfish aim or motive, to have an ulterior motive. The government or a particular organization has an axe to grind. Do remember an important idiom, a selfish aim or motive, ulterior motive. Spurt in something, a sudden marked burst or increase of activity or speed, usually activity. Will has many meanings, it's a helping verb, but here it's a noun, and as a noun, it has many meanings. In this context, determination to do something. Exactly. There is a particular breed called Labrador Retriever, Golden Retriever. What is its job? Retrieve, go get something. Sustain, we have got a few times an important word. Sustainability, sustain. It has many meanings. In this context, to keep something in operation, maintain, hold for some time. Sustain someone's interest means what? Hold someone's interest. A lot of words. Today it may take more than 30 minutes, in my opinion, because so many words I have to tell the meanings. Only then you can follow. Crushing lives. Crush means to compress or squeeze forcefully so as to break or damage. But in this context, crushing lives means taking lives, getting killed. So, what is the main idea of this editorial? Strict enforcement of rules in quarries alone can prevent environmental and human costs. Quarries, mining, there are two dimensions. Whenever we talk about or you have to write about a quarry or exploitation of the environment, there are two dimensions. One is loss of lives, the other one is damage to environment. So obviously, these many more words are there. Obviously, this editorial touches both the dimensions, and also it talks about the rules and regulations, whether they're being implemented or not. Strict enforcement. Enforce means what? Compel observance of a law, rule, or obligation. Make someone follow the rules. Comply takes a preposition with, comply with rules and regulations. So, enforcement of rules. You can also think of the word implementation. Strict implementation of rules or strict enforcement of rules in quarries, because this editorial is all about a particular accident that took about I think 6 people. So based on in a particular quarry, in quarries alone can prevent environmental and human costs. Two dimensions: one, damage to the environment; the other one, loss of lives. So what is required here? Strict enforcement of rules in quarries. This is the main idea to prevent something. Prevent what? Environmental damage, one thing, and human lives, another thing. Working in hazardous sites such as quarries, where explosives and heavy machinery are deployed, is fraught with risks. This talks about generally quarries, what are the dangers. Working in hazardous sites such as quarries. From this, you can understand quarry as such is a hazardous site. Hazard means what? Danger. Hazardous, risky, or dangerous. Working in hazardous sites such as quarries, where explosives and heavy machinery, two things are part of a quarry. One is explosives, they have to blast the stone or boulders, and the other, they have to use heavy machinery where explosives and heavy machinery are deployed. We have got the word deploy many a time, but the word deploy, wherever we got, the number of times, many a time we have got, usually the typical meaning deploy goes with police, army, but in this context, the other dimension, move into position, it goes with machinery as well. So, what is the meaning of the word deploy? Move troops or equipment. In this context, equipment, heavy machinery into position for action, not military action, only for action. Working, this talks about the dangers usually that go with the risks involved when it comes to working in a quarry. Working in hazardous sites such as quarries, where explosives and heavy machinery are deployed, is fraught with risks. Fraught, an important word. Bank exams they have given many a time. and it takes a preposition with. Do remember the combination. Fraught means filled with or full of unpleasant things such as problems or dangers. In this context, obviously, dangers. But human casualties in accidents caused at such sites due to greed induced exploitation, violation of safety and operational norms, and collusion with regulators involve an element of culpability. Again, there are three words you have to understand, only then you can understand the meaning of that particular sentence. First one, casualties. What does it mean? A person killed or injured in a war or accident. Whenever we talk about the impact of war or the impact of an accident, we use the word casualties. Means what? The number of persons, a person or persons killed or injured in a war or accident, in accidents, but human casualties in accidents caused at such sites due to. This sentence talks about the different factors, the reasons for such accidents. What are those reasons? Due to greed induced exploitation. There's one word, greed. Greed goes with conversational English or everyday English. What does it mean? Excess desire. Greedy person means some people they want a lot. Then we use the word a greedy person, greed. Greed induced exploitation, violation of safety and operational norms, usual reason not following the rules and regulations, a violation of safety and operational norms, and the third factor, collusion with regulators. Collusion, collude, an important word. What does it mean? Secret or illegal cooperation or conspiracy in order to deceive others. You join hands with the regulators and you want to exploit, you want to do something that is illegal. Obviously, this word has a negative connotation. Collusion with regulators involve, all these factors involve an element of culpability. Another important word. All these factors involve or show an element of culpability, culpable crime, a typical combination. So, what is the meaning of the word culpability? Responsibility for a fault or wrong or blame. They have to be blamed. All these factors are responsible for such accidents in quarries. Now it talks about the actual event, what exactly happened. The death of three workers, not six, three workers. The death of three workers at the privately owned Venkateshwara Stone Crusher unit at Adamithi Pankalam in Tamil Nadu's Tirunelveli district bears tragic testimony to this. It talks about the actual event, what exactly happened, where it happened, and how many people died. The death of three workers at privately owned Venkateshwara Stone Crusher unit in which district? Tirunelveli district. There's a particular place, a bit difficult to pronounce also. In Tamil Nadu's Tirunelveli district, bears. Here, bears means carries the weight of, not exactly the weight of support. Bears means it acts as a sort of example, bears the tragic testimony. The tragic testimony, an important word, a formal written or spoken statement, especially one given in a court of law. But here it has nothing to do with the court of law, bears tragic testimony, something like evidence to this. Here, a, so what exactly happened? Here, a falling boulder trapped the six workers and the heavy vehicles under debris in a 300 feet deep stone quarry on Saturday night. This talks about the exact thing, what exactly happened. Here, a falling boulder. Boulder, an important word in the sense, based on the context, it is a lexical term related to the topic. Boulder means a large rock, typically one that has been worn smooth or by erosion. But a large rock, we use the word boulder. A falling boulder trapped six workers and their heavy vehicles under debris. Here, the letter S is silent. Debris means what? Scattered pieces of rubbish or remains. Usually, it goes with when a plane crashes, we use the word debris. Also, when there is a shipwreck, we use the word debris. But it goes more with aeroplanes. In a 300 feet deep stone quarry on Saturday night, the management, according to the State Director of Mining and Geology, was served a closure notice last month and instructed to suspend operations after violations. So the government found violations, not following the rules and regulations, Based on that, they served a notice. According to the State Director of Mining and Geology, was served a closure notice. They were supposed to close. Last month, they got a notice to close and instructed to suspend all the activities or operations after violations. Yet, contrary information, the operations went on illegally until the fateful night. They were supposed to close, they were supposed to stop all the activities. But in spite of getting the notice, the operations went on illegally, obviously, until the fateful night, means unfortunate night, which brought officials, politicians, and rescuers to the site. After the incident, obviously, all these people visit the site. Perhaps a random inspection in the interregnum could have prevented the loss of lives, could have prevented. This talks about a past possibility. There was a possibility for something to happen, but it did not happen. So they could have avoided this accident. How? Perhaps a random inspection. A random usually we contrast with systematic. A random means what? Made, done, or happening without method or conscious decision. At random, something at random, not systematic. A random inspection in the interregnum, this is an important word. A period when normal government is suspended, especially between successive reigns or regimes, between the formation of the government. Imagine a particular government, elections, then another government. There's some time, a month or 2 months, and that time period is known as interregnum, could have prevented the loss of lives. Had they made a random inspection, it could have been avoided. The preliminary inquiry suggests the crusher unit, which has facilities for the manufacture of M sand and blue metal, had compromised its safety along the vehicle path. This talks about the violation. What exactly? They compromised the safety. Compromised safety means they did not follow the rules and regulations that go with safety of the workers along the vehicle path. To be more specific, the breach in the mandated 10 feet distance between the upper vehicle path and the immediate lower path is believed to cause the falling boulder to plunge deeper into the quarry, aggravating the tragedy. Again, it talks about the exact reason, providing the details. The breach in the mandated 10 feet, they're supposed to maintain 10 feet distance between the upper vehicle path and the lower path. But there's a breach. Breach means what? A violation in this context, violation of rules and regulations. Breach also means crack, crack in a wall or a cemented structure, a dam also. The breach in the mandated 10 feet distance between the upper vehicle path and the immediate lower path is believed to have caused the falling boulder to plunge deeper into the quarry. Plunge deeper into the quarry, obviously. Once it starts coming down, it is not possible to escape. Plunge means what? A sudden movement or fall forward or down. In this context, fall down or into something. In this context, deeper into the quarry, aggravating the tragedy. Aggravate, make something worse. Exacerbate, a better word, effective English. The Revenue Secretary has announced a comprehensive safety audit exercise in all stone quarries. After the incident, perhaps, or the Revenue Secretary has announced a comprehensive safety audit exercise in all stone quarries. Comprehensive, another important word. What does it mean? Comprehensive means taking everything into consideration, all the aspects into consideration. And usually it goes with a policy, it goes with syllabus. And what are the related words? Comprehensive, holistic, and also exhaustive. Exhausted is different, exhaustive is different. Both are entirely different. Given that a political nexus, this is an important word. Nexus means connection or series of connections linking two or more things. Usually, the word nexus has a negative connotation. Given that a political nexus, quarry operations, and the grant of licenses are inseparable, such crackdowns have rarely been effective. We have rules and regulations, that is one thing. But whether they're being enforced or not, whether they are being implemented or not, that's another thing. And if at all they're not being implemented, what could be the reason? Because of the nexus, political nexus. Given that a political nexus, Quarry operations and the grant of licenses are inseparable. Because of this nexus, such crackdowns have rarely been effective, not at all effective. The plundering of natural resources, the word plunder, another important word, steal goods from a place or person, typically using force and in a time of war or civil disorder. But this is a typical meaning, need not be the same all the time. In this context, plunder means natural resources, exploit natural resources. The plundering of natural resources, including in the ecologically sensitive Western Ghats due to excessive blasting and mining has been well documented by committees, either appointed by the government or by the courts. Exploitation of resources, plundering of natural resources, especially ecologically sensitive Western Ghats, because of what? Excessive blasting and mining has been well documented. For instance, former IAS officer U. Sagayam, as a Madras High Court appointed legal commissioner, had estimated 16,000 crore loss to the exchequer due to illegal granite mining in the Madurai region alone. A particular region, illegal mining operation, according to a particular IAS officer appointed by the High Court, Madras High Court, legal commissioner, he had estimated 16,000 crore loss to the exchequer. Exchequer means what? The government department that is responsible for the country's finances. In this particular context, the state government's finances. There has been a mushrooming of unlicensed quarries too. This is a problem. They're supposed to have the license, but there has been a mushrooming of unlicensed quarries too. Mushrooming means what? Rapidly growing, expanding, or developing. You can also think of words like plethora. Plethora means excess of something. Just last year, the High Court had ordered the closure of 64 unlicensed stone quarries in Tirupur district based on the findings of an advocate commissioner. Again, committees have been there and they have documented the impact of the impact on the environment, and also how many of them are legal with license, illegal without license. Based on those reports, perhaps just last year the High Court had ordered the closure of 64 unlicensed stone quarries in Tirupur district, one district alone. 64. Imagine the entire state, how many unlicensed stone quarries, and the negative impact of that on the environment, and also loss of lives based on the findings of an advocate commissioner. The revenue loss aside, besides the revenue loss, in addition to revenue loss, it is impossible to fix a cost to the resultant irretrievable damage to the environment. One thing is loss of revenue. The revenue loss aside, besides the loss of revenue, it is impossible to fix a cost to the resultant irretrievable damage. We cannot assess or we cannot fix the loss related to the damage to the environment, and this damage is irretrievable. There's one important word: retrievable. Opposite: irretrievable. What is the meaning of the word retrievable? Something that can be found and made available to be used, retrieved, to go get something. And this also goes with information. In this context, it goes with resources. Irretrievable damage means you cannot change. Once it is done, it is done to the environment and risk exposure to humans. The two dimensions: one is negative impact on the environment, the other risk exposure to humans. The big sharks have been targeted mostly when a ruling party has an axe to grind. An important idiomatic expression. An axe to grind means what? A selfish aim or motive, or an ulterior motive. The big sharks mean the big players have been targeted, present perfect passive voice, mostly when a ruling party has an axe to grind. There is now a spurt in the quarrying volume. Spurt, an important word, a sudden marked burst or increase of activity or speed. Activity in this context. There is now a spurt in the quarrying volume in Tirunelveli, Kanyakumari region to meet the huge demand from Kerala, where an estimated 80% of the quarried materials is transported. Now it talks about another region, one Madurai region. Then I think the first one, the incident took place a different region. Now it talks about a third region. What is that? There is now a spurt in the quarrying volume in Tirunelveli, Kanyakumari region to meet why a spurt in the quarrying volume, huge demand from Kerala, where an estimated 80% of quarried materials is transported. Based on this situation, it calls for the enforcement of restrictions on such interstate transport of minerals between Tamil Nadu and Kerala, obviously interstate transport. So huge demand, it calls for the enforcement of restrictions, implementation of restrictions on such interstate transport of minerals. Immediate responses to tragedies usually have a short life. Whenever something happens, human nature, we try to respond and we try to think of a solution that is something like a quick fix on the spot. Immediate responses to tragedies usually have a short life. So, based on the incident, based on the event, we try to think of a particular solution, and that solution, the editorial opines, it has a short life. The tragedies, responses to tragedies, immediate responses or immediate solutions to tragedies usually have a short life. Only a genuine administrative will. In this context, will means determination to do something. Only a genuine administrative will to sustain. Sustain means to keep something in operation or maintain. The enforcement of rules in quarries is of real consequence. So the main idea is being reiterated. What is the main idea? When it comes to quarries, enforcement of rules, the most important thing. Why is it important? To avoid negative impact on the environment, one thing, and loss of lives, the other dimension. The main idea is being reiterated at the fag end of the editorial. Only a genuine administrative will to sustain the enforcement of rules in quarries is of real consequence. Otherwise, same thing keeps going on. Enhance your comprehension skill. What are the questions you can think of based on this editorial? What is this editorial about? Please remember any editorial related to environment, very important, and related to humans, obviously, people, very important. And here it is a combination. The impact of mining on especially tribal people. Mining is an important topic, do remember mining an important topic. It makes an impact on human lives as well as the environment. So that way it is really important, an important topic. Any topic related to environment you may get as a passage in prelims or mains. Sometimes they may ask a particular dimension like pollution, either in the descriptive paper, either essay writing or letter writing. What can prevent environmental human costs? Something can prevent, all these can be prevented. Exactly. Usually, what happens, immediate responses are based on the event or incident, you try to come up with a solution or a remedy. It is not foolproof in a way because to get a permanent solution for any problem, you have to do the research, you have to spend a lot of time, you have to find out the exact reasons, the reasons behind, the persons behind, and the system, where are the loopholes, and you have to come up with the real solutions, lasting solutions. To come up with lasting solutions, here, short life. What is the difference between short life and lasting solution? Short life, immediate response. If you want a lasting solution, you got to spend a lot of time. You got to do research. You have to go deep into the problem and spend a lot of time, do research, find out the reasons, actual reasons behind. Then only you can come up with a lasting solution. Obviously, what involves an element of culpability, keywords in the context of the editorial, involves an element of culpability. Three factors. What could have prevented the loss of lives? Could have prevented. There was a possibility to prevent, but they could not prevent. So, what could have prevented the loss of lives? Obviously, enforcement of laws. What has been well documented by committees, either appointed by the government or by the courts. They have What has been well documented? Something has been well documented. So what is that you have to write? Today, what time is it? Because we have a session at 8:45. Important questions from bank exams point of view, other competitive exams as well. So I haven't brought grammar related slide. Try to answer quickly. Editorial vocabulary. Enrich your word power. Don't write the parts of speech later. Try to get the meaning. We are running out of time. It's already 8:35. So hazardous, what does it mean? What is the meaning of hazardous? Part of speech, adjective, means what? Risky or dangerous. Deploy, verb, means what? Move into position, either troops, police, or equipment. In this context, equipment. So move into position, equipment. Fraught with means adjective. It is an adjective. Full of unpleasant things, especially risks or dangers. A is the answer. Greed, part of speech, noun. Greedy person, adjective. Greed, excess desire. J is the answer. Collude is a verb, collusion, noun. Join hands with someone to do something negative or illegal, or cooperate with someone. More than cooperation, secret or illegal, conspiracy. So answer is G. Debris, the letter S is silent, part of speech, noun. Scattered pieces of rubbish. B is the answer. Culpability, noun. Culpable crime, culpable adjective. Means what? Something that can be blamed, a culpable crime. Responsibility for a fault or something that is wrong. E is the answer. This is a new word we have got for the first time. Try to spend a few minutes and remember. Interregnum. Usually in the exam they ask meanings of those words like these. Very important. A period when normal government is not there, or the gap between two different governments or reigns or regimes. So D is the answer. This is a noun, D. Breach. Breach could be a verb, it could be a noun. What does it mean? A gap in a wall or violation in this context. Violation of rules and regulations. C is the answer. Mushrooming growth. Mushroom is a verb. Mushrooming growth of something. So it could be an adjective, it could be a verb, but we'll take it as a verb. What does it mean? Rapidly growing. Answer is H. You're left with H. That's all for today. Thanks for being with me till 8:38. Have a nice day, and do remember to subscribe and share. Join the Telegram group. After the session, go to the description and click on the link. 8:45 there is a session. Important questions from bank exams point of view based on exam.